Good afternoon on what has become a grey, overcast, but only slightly chilly day. It is Tuesday, the 8th of March. I am back in the reading hook with a nice hot cup of tea and a box to delve into. Now, of course, I've been into this box more than once, and so far picked out one or two interesting things. For example, these dice for the John Carter of Mars role-playing game. So you'll probably work out that this box is full of loot from Modiphius Entertainment. I'm saying loot, so part of their sale. Picking up one or two things that I wanted to get and review and talk about. So, for example, these card sets. But I've already been into that pile. I'm gonna grab the next one, which is this. Opening this up, what have we got? Find out. Conan the Mercenary Guide. Let's go with choices. Let's go with Conan. Let's go with this one. So it's a Conan book, as you might have guessed. That's out of the way. So it is Conan the Scout. I'm going to just take the plastic off that. This is a supplement for Robert E. Howard's Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed of role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment, and what the publisher has been doing is going through the books themselves, the Conan novels by Robert E. Howard, and using them as inspiration for these supplements. So it's drawing directly from individual novels. So we've had Conan the Thief, Conan the Mercenary, and this time it is Conan the Scout. And that's a great way to do it, because it nicely ties in with the novels, and gives it sort of sense of, what are we going to cover next. Gives it a sense of progression through Conan's story. Welcome to the frontier. Now, among the settlers beyond the Thunder River, there was growing up a breed of forestmen capable of meeting the barbarians at their own game, but their numbers were still scanty. Hungry for expansion, the kingdoms of the dreaming West expanded into lands held for millennia by the Picts, an ancient race predating even the Hyborian Age. The Pictish wilderness is vast and untamable, hiding mysteries and horror. In this wild theatre, the eternal struggle between a civilization and savagery intensifies. The people of this land hold the line against this invasion. And it's getting rougher here, you can hear by the wind. To the east, the border kingdom stands as civilization's defence between the fearsome Hyperboreans and the unready kingdoms to the south. Conan the Scout is a guide to life on the border, filled with information about the rugged world of the settlers, pioneers, hunters and scouts, and their implacable enemies of the Picts. It is a place of danger and opportunity. Many have perished, but some have prospered. Standing against the tide of barbarians to the north are the Rangers, striving to protect the innocents, and born in this frontier are the famed Bessonian archers and the vaunted mercenaries of Gunderland. Take up your axe, your bow, and strike out into the untamed wilderness. So we've got new archetypes, talents and equipment allowing you to create frontier characters ready to strike out into the unknown and forge a new home, or to protect those who settle this rough land. Gazetteer covering the regions at the edge of the civilized world, the Bessonian Marches, the Westermark, Tauron and Gunderland, as well as the tumultuous border kingdom. Information about the deep forests of the Pictish wilderness, including the major Pict tribes, their magic and their enigmatic ways. Descriptions of groups such as the Rangers, Bessonian Archers and Gunderland Mercenaries, including how to join their ranks. So there you have the possibility of mixing that with the previous supplement, Conan the Mercenary, and then rules for carousing and time between adventures on the frontier. Stunning art and maps produced by new and renowned Conan artists, developed with leading Conan scholars. This is the frontier as Howard depicted it, a place of mystery and danger as well as opportunity. So there we go. So with a great cover showing Conan standing out in the wilderness. what's inside. And as before, so you've got the cover, and you basically stretches over the back and open up the page, and inside you have cover in full effect, which is great. That's a really nice piece. You've basically got a sense of danger. The skulls with the skull with a helmet on, left as a warning. So we get into immediately. Here's an explanation of what's in the book with a nice bit of conceit about this is about Conan being a real figure from history, and here's what he was doing and so on, which is sort of gives a bit of context for Howard's novels and the books. And we've got continued that with this section here. Before essentially, presume we've got like an introduction to the front, an invitation to the frontier, or something like that. And then we get into character types. So we, basically scout homelands, scout castes, and the cast descriptions. So we have clan folk, garrison soldiers, pioneers. So we've got a guide to the life in the frontier there, just to overview. We've got the casts on the table at the top. Discussion of potentially having picked player characters, and then we have cast talents and scout ancient bloodlines, and essentially the basic developing your characters, giving some sort of background and so on, combined with clanfolk stories such as portrayed by the king, family scandal, fragile alliance, and so on. And they're going to do the same for the pioneer, and also for the soldier story. So these are elements of you creating a character. We have scout archetypes, so explorer, missionary, scout, and trader. So not necessarily. This nicely expands the options of sort of like what you can play in Conan. So it's not all thieves and archers and warriors. There's new options here, and these are backed up with natures and educations. So that's representing sort of time out on the frontier. So for scout educations, might be gone native or life in the garrison, on the farm. Backed up with war stories, and the new talents. So the new talents include pikemen and plowshare, a sword who spent time farming and working the land. To so much so that you're as adept with farming tools and implements as you are weapons. Parry talents, natural cover, range weapons talents. You've got Bessonian archer, so you could be trained with them, and they've got stealth talents like one with the wild. Survival talents, explorer, and then we've got a list of names, and also caches for things that are left out. To help people save, and even a discussion of your parents' reputation and how that can come into play. This is about, you've got gear and equipment, so farming implements include pitchforks, scythes and sickles, and fishing kits and survival kits. So equipment, and a guide to using weapons as tools. So you kind of do that encounter where you're a lowly farmer, ordinary farmer, and you're suddenly attacked by barbarians, and you take up your pitchfork and attempt to withstand their onslaught, and then picked equipment as well and then there's Bronze Age weaponry, presumably used by the Picts. Before the gazetteer gets into the frontier territories like Aquilonia, accompanied by a nice map, and the Bessonian marches, and discussing the peoples of the Bessonian marches. So you're getting basically a guide to the region in a few pages, the Westermark, which is just sort of great for the game master, and also for the player who's creating a character. And so how to become a ranger in Gunderland, and then the settlement of Venarium, and how that figures in the stories. And obviously it's important because it gets a whole scene. You've got the settlement of Venarium and the massacre at Venarium, so that's a signature event within the stories. Before we get to the Black River and the Thunder River and cross into Pictish territory. Right, so we've got like a typical Pictish village and the borders of the Pict. So we're getting deeper and deeper into their territory as we go on, and it's looking at sort of like the border with the frozen coast, the Cimmerian foothills, Bessonian border, and the like. Got a quick guide to the Pictic tribes. Just a quick one before we get into a bit more detail. So there's the guide. Oh, let's see if we can bring. Okay, there's the guide, and a bit more detail running alongside it. And then the border kingdoms. Another map. Politics of border kingdoms. And all the various people of the border kingdoms, including a table for determining political independence along the kingdoms. So you can actually create a border kingdom yourself. That's basically political independence, kingdom borders, special kingdom borders, kingdom size and population. So very quickly you can create a sort of like you could have set up a kingdom, have one or two, and have it attacked by Picts, on dealing with rival kingdoms and the like, adding kingdom denizens and kingdom creatures. Just basically the game master choosing or rolling on these options, whether or not how he wants to run the campaign. And we've got kingdom rulers and kingdom issues, so you've got personalities and some issues and difficulties. And this is backed up with an example there. And this really does one thing that this obviously does is the first thing you go, okay, it's border kingdom. You're out on the border, but if you go into that border kingdom, obviously one of the things you could do is run a potentially a Conan the Mercenary campaign with it, and then we have events which can befall the characters and obviously the kingdoms whilst out on the border. So that includes a blight and a famine as natural events, and so just get my fingers separate the paper here. It's not coming apart. Let's use this. There we go. So fire and flood, plague and sickness, and red in tooth and claw. So that's dealing with wilderness, and then political and social events like the war with Picts, trouble with Chimeria, hovering slavers. So you can scale this up. You could have the characters in a village, on the frontier, working it, making sure it's safe, and you can scale that up right up to sort of like a kingdom. And this is, we have war on the frontier as well. Also the charting kingdom, Conan's rise to power in that particular story, along the divided frontier and joining the revolution. Unnatural events, so things like the Black Plague, Pictish wizardry, and beasts walking among men. And then we've got the rise of the Picts before we delve into their myth and magic. So the gods of the frontier and the gods of the border kingdoms, again adding to the sort of like the background to these areas and basically looking at their faiths. And before we get encounters, so we have characters that basically retinue are toughened or ordinary, and so we've got an Aquilonian noble or a border kingdom soldier minion. So Aquilonian noble toughened, border kingdom soldier minion or commander toughened. We've got discussion of presentation of those ready for the game master to use them as NPCs. Bessonian archer, Gunderline ranger, barbaric raiders, all toughened characters, which present threats or NPCs for the player characters to encounter. Then we've got Hyborian settler as a minion. Missionary of Mitra, Westermark Rangers, and so on. Zingaran Borderer, also all good, range of good solid NPCs that might be encountered out on the border. Savage beasts, panthers, saber-toothed tigers, dire wolves. For when the wilderness strikes back or something nasty is encountered out there. And then we've got horrors as well, like ghost snakes and river women. and these can be nemesis as well. Or the ghost snake or the river one and so on. And there she's got a really fantastic illustration of her and how beguiling she is, and what a horrifying monster the Yeti is. Oh, sorry, Wendigo, I should say. Shouldn't get the two confused. And then Folk of Renown covers some of the characters from the stories, which make an appearance in the particular novels. So Balthus the Forester, Lord Brockus of Tor, Golt Hager's son, Lord Thesperus, and more. Same again with the Pects, such as Gunnar the Wizard and Karada, Witch of the Skandanga, both presented as a nemesis, which the Game Master can use to harry her players. And this is backed up with sort of like, you know, atypical Picts. So we have a Pict shaman as a nemesis. There we go. And this is supported essentially by a list of totems and their various effects. Okay, and then hither came Conan, and this actually delved into really what he was doing throughout the book, and charting his story, as with all of the supplements in this book. We've got the full stats for Conan the Scout. Before we get into Tales of the Frontier, discussion of how to use the book, and advice for the Game Master. With border themes, and then discussion of border themes. I've got discussion here of the what you can do between downtime, between adventures on the frontier. So you know, that's border trouble, border carousing events, because it doesn't matter where you go, you always want to do some carousing. And then the Picts. We've got a last chapter which is history of Pictdom, tribes of the Pictdom, basically supporting the NPCs given earlier in the book. And also covering Pictish magic and myth. And this would also be useful potentially if a player character wanted to take the role of a Pict, and deal with the trust that comes with that. And then we have the Red Jewel and the enslaved spells, all important aspects of the stories involving the Picts, as well as Pictish animal cults. So that's a more detailed explanation of those given in the sort of go with the totems earlier in the book. So yeah, that altogether, along with an allies and allies companion sheet there at the end, that makes up Conan the Scout, a supplement for Robert E. Howard's Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed of. So yeah, anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, please click on the like button. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to see me out here with a box and a game or book which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook, and I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.